There's a ton of noise out there. So how do you get decision makers to pay attention to your brand? Start a podcast and invite your ideal clients to be guests on your show. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm James Carberry.
And I'm Jonathan Green.
Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. Today we are joined by Lantre Barr. Lantre is the founder and CEO at Blacc Spot Media. Lantre, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jonathan. Thank you for having me today.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show. We're going to be talking about emerging trends in WebRTC, and I'm a self-admitted non-super technical guy, non-super tech guy, but I love learning new things. One of the greatest things about co-hosting this show is how much I get to learn from every single episode. So that is one of the reasons that I'm excited to have you on the show today. But before we get into today's topic, Lantre, maybe you can tell us a little about what you and the Blacc Spot Media team are up to these days.
Yeah, good. So Blacc Spot Media is a company founded in Atlanta in 2011, focused around cloud communications. So our team specifically focuses on building audio and video communications applications for our customers that span across the world. Our team specifically helps our customers to understand how to integrate cloud communications into their products and services, as well as we provide strategic consulting services around best implementation approaches, overall cost savings, and things of that nature to help our customers understand how to take full advantage of WebRTC.
That's fantastic. Well, that's one of the great things about having you on this show today is that you're obviously an expert. I know for a fact that Blacc Spot has been seeing some tremendous growth, especially in 2017. You guys were on the Inc. 5000 list of some kind.
Yeah, we came in at number 215 for last year. Essentially focused around cloud communication. So we are really pulling up a good stronghold around being able to provide expert services around adding a video and voice to applications.
That's wonderful. So let's, Lantre, let's just dive right in then. When we're talking about WebRTC and this and transformation to cloud communication, what are we talking about?
In 2011, a little old company named Google decided to open source this new technology called WebRTC. WebRTC stands for Web Real-Time Communications, and it's a new standard protocol for allowing voice and video to be integrated into applications. Google originally decided to use it in their Google Hangouts application as a new way to provide easier way for customers and users to integrate voice and video without having to download or install any type of plugin. So we lived in this world of Flash and everyone had to download Flash. And so Google was looking for a new way to incorporate technology that didn't require any downloads of any sort. So with that, they open sourced WebRTC in 2011. And at that time, it was right around the time we founded the company. And so we decided to, follow it and take it up as our niche. And so WebRTC itself is being used quite heavily in a lot of different applications and industries worldwide. From Facebook, using it in Facebook Messenger, doing billions of calls every year, to WhatsApp, using it for their voice calls, to Uber, using it for, dialing out from when there are drivers calling to your, phone when you're picking up a passenger. So there's many different applications and use cases for it. And what we're seeing a lot of use for it is in healthcare. So a lot of telemedicine applications are using WebRTC now. And with Flash actually coming to end of life in 2020, it is now the go-to voice and video communications protocol for all applications that want to incorporate it. Since it's open source, it's a lot less, in terms of, royalty fees and licensing fees that normally would accumulate with voice and video applications. So it's really opening the doors in healthcare and distance learning for education. We're even seeing a lot of transformation from legacy technology in call center solutions. A lot of call center customers use a lot of hardware and equipment. And so what WebRTC is now allowing them to do is, use, their browser to, make outbound calls or receive inbound calls to their call center directly from their agents' computers, which is allowing, companies to be able to cut their costs for the call center, locations, provide, even more contextual services for their customers. So instead of the long wait times and things of that nature, they're being able to improve overall customer satisfaction, all while cutting their costs in some case up to 50 to 80% of what they were spending on their on-premise solutions.
Yeah. So you've already touched on some of this, but we were talking even before we started recording today's episode. One of the points that we were going to be making is, you already use it and you don't even notice. You already use WebRTC, and we're connecting today over Uber conference, and I didn't really understand that this is one of those perfect examples of using WebRTC, sort of knowing the program, knowing what it accomplishes, but not necessarily understanding like this is exactly what you're talking about today.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're really getting away from the word WebRTC as a general, because no one really understands WebRTC. But if you say cloud communications or enabling voice of video into your product or service, people understand that and they get that. They just don't know what that means for the underlying technology and how that really connects. But we help them try to understand that and see what are the capabilities that can be added into their product or services, or how can they save money by if they're already using voice and video capabilities in their products or service, how can they save money by using this new emerging technology?
Yeah. And you've definitely mentioned a couple of examples. We're talking about being able to provide new services and cut costs. You had already mentioned things like in the healthcare industry and education. Are you even at Blacc Spot, are you helping companies then to sort of integrate this cloud communication and helping them to offer new services, helping them to cut costs?
Yeah, so we offer a wide array of services. In many cases, customers come to us for the full application development. So, beyond just the WebRTC or the cloud communications piece, we really help our customers to build the full product. So everything around their service will help them build. In many cases, when we have large corporations that we're working with, sometimes they already have a product that they want to integrate voice and video into, but they have no clue of where to kind of start. So they allow our team to come in and kind of build those components for them and deploy their solution. And then from the strategic consulting side, if you're just at the point where you're trying to understand it, we kind of help our customers in that regards as well. So, how you build a product roadmap and, when is the right time to roll these services out. If you think about taxes, it's right about now is around the time companies should be looking at incorporating. TurboTax is a prime example of a company that's using WebRTC to incorporate better product in customer service. They have their TurboTax Live, where you can get a live agent to help you walk through your taxes. And they're completely using WebRTC for that particular services. Now is the time for them to start looking at building that for the next tax season when it comes around next year. We're seeing stuff like insurance industry. Esurance is a good example of this. They're now using WebRTC to do remote claims adjustments. So their agents are getting with their customers, and the customers having a video chat with the agent, and they're walking around the car detailing, what things are wrong with the car, and they're doing all their claims adjustments remotely. So there's so many different touch points and so many different places where companies can utilize the technology of integrating cloud communications, not only to, provide innovation for their existing business, but also, cut costs, because they no longer have to, send people out to, do these claims adjustments. It's so much faster. Customers are much happier. You get brand loyalty and things of that nature. So it's really exciting to see all of the things that are coming into play.
I'm really ashamed to admit this, but we went the first 3 years of our business without having a single case study. I know, pretty ridiculous. So I finally broke down and had Kappa 99 create a couple case studies for us. We sent them some examples of other case studies that we really liked. Then we sent them the stories and the results that we wanted to include. After a few rounds of revisions, we now have 2 beautifully designed case studies that we send to pretty much every one of our prospects. When you sign up with Kappa 99, you get unlimited graphic design and unlimited revisions for just $399 a month. Head over to b2bgrowthshow.com/design and try out their 15-day free trial. That's b2bgrowthshow.com/design. Let's get back to this interview.
So, Lantre, if for any of our listeners that are thinking to themselves, okay, this obviously is a great idea. We want to be able to integrate this cloud communication more effectively, or even for the very first time. I mean, do you have any pieces of advice or suggestions for ways in which they can think critically? I mean, does it start with, okay, how do we even want to communicate with our existing clients, or how do we want to communicate with potential clients, or what is our messaging? I mean, are there things that you can start off by thinking about, and that can sort of lead you down the right path?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost is, think outside of the box, right? With voice and video, there's new capabilities and new segments that are coming up into the industry that didn't exist before. I would say if you're a customer or if you're a company that already has some type of voice and video, look at the underlying technology to see if, you can replace that technology with WebRTC and, then provide more effective communication, higher quality communication, lower cost communication. So those people, they have their own set of, requirements they could look at. But then if you're coming at it from a new perspective, I usually start with trying to figure out, who's your client and a persona of those customers that you're looking for. Would they benefit from voice and video in their applications? Now, voice and video is going to be great for a lot of different use cases, but it's not going to make sense in every particular use case, and that's fine. However, what we're realizing is that every application at some point that has any customer touch point is going to involve some type of, voice or video integration, whether it's just voice, in some cases it will just be voice, but being able to integrate that into your applications to have a streamlined workflow versus, these workflows where customers have to use separate applications, to kind of, get in touch with your agents. You can look at integrating that all into one comprehensive solution versus, separate applications or separate, workflows for your organization. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Lantre, one of the things that we've been asking our guests recently, and I'm excited to dive into this just a little bit with you because obviously you're passionate. You're the CEO and the founder of this media company. We talked a little bit, and I don't want to spoil it about what we talked about before, but in terms of you and your legacy, the kind of legacy that you want to leave behind, whether that's personally, professionally, or a combination of the two, sort of what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so for me, it's really around being able to adapt to change. My background is a little different than most when it comes to how did I get into the software world. The startup community and it didn't really exist when I first started my company, and so it was a little bit different of a struggle to kind of get here. My background is actually in architecture and construction. I ran a real estate development company for a while while I was in college, and when 2008 hit with the economic downturn, I found myself unemployed for about 30 months. So for me, during that time, it was a lot of self-reflection and what can I do to make sure that I have a secure future for myself. And it was really around something that I could control myself, which was building a company around something that I liked. I really like software. I did a couple projects when I was in graduate school, and I used that as a catalyst for me to be able to say, hey, okay, well, I'm going to learn this new skill set, even though I didn't go to school for it and wasted all that money in school. But I'm going to take this and I'm going to run with it. And I fell in love with it and, taught myself. And with that, I built something that, from the ground up from a whole different industry that I had no formal training or education on. And so I really want to kind of tell that story and leave a legacy around, someone who's been able to, come through adversity, completely be hit with, all types of challenges and still be able to overcome those challenges and build something successful And, challenges aren't going to go away. Even though we're successful now, they're going to continue to come. And so, we want to continue to be able to go with the ebbs and flows and be able to go with the trend of emerging, right? Technology emerges and it always changes. So, as a company, we want to make sure we don't stand stagnant. And we continue to always change and morph as well as grow with the technology that we're supporting.
I love that. And I'm just curious for myself. I mean, having this background in architecture and construction in grad school, did that idea that learning how to build from the ground up, did that help? Would you say in learning how to program or even building your own company from the ground up?
Yeah, I think more so from the software side, because architecture and construction is so much about process, and then software is the same way. So I think my brain was already programmed to that type of process. So love to see how that came together, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's great. Lantre, your enthusiasm for what you're doing is very infectious. So I do really appreciate you coming on the show, sharing that wisdom with us. And if any of our listeners are interested in finding out more about today's topic, they want to connect with you and your team, what's the best way for them to go about doing that?
Yeah, the best way is to reach us on our website. It's blackspot.com, and Blacc is spelled BLACC. And if you want to email me directly, you can email me at lbarr@blackspot.com, and that's LBARR@blackspot.com. You can find us on LinkedIn, search Blacc Spot Media, or on Twitter @Blacc Spot Media. We'll be, happy to fill any requests that you guys have around, cloud communications and WebRTC itself. And we look forward to, helping you guys, integrate and innovate into your products and services and save you money.
Yeah, and that is a very noble goal. Lantre, again, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
No problem. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
There are lots of ways to build a community, and we've chosen to build the B2B growth community through this podcast. But because of the way podcasts work, it's really hard to engage with our listeners. And without engagement, it's tough to build a great community. So here's what we've decided to do. We're organizing small dinners across the country with our listeners and guests. No sales pitches, no agenda, just great conversations with like-minded people. We'll talk business, we'll talk family, we'll talk goals and dreams. We'll build friendships. So if you'd like to be a part of a B2B growth dinner in a city near you, go to b2bgrowthdinners.com. That's b2bgrowthdinners.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.